This is HQ. And I am coming to you with the case about the 13 kids found in the house with their parents, right? So we're just doing some cop shows and doing our thing, trying to figure out what's going on. They were just found, but apparently it's the parents that have these children in the house. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it and see what the report says. Let's see.
Okay, I need you outside. Yeah. Oh my God. Tab. Oh, I need your opinion. I need you to go inside.
Newly released body cam video shows how shocked an officer was with how allegedly bad the living conditions were inside a home in Toledo, Ohio. More than a dozen children were taken from the home, and the details are awful. And now these 3 adults are facing charges. We're on the case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Christy. It always shocks me in cases of neglect with how surprised people can be when officers have issues with the living conditions that their children are living in, and they try to explain away the mess in their home, almost as if a little sweeping would actually solve the problem.
See, the thing is, I don't understand how you can have 3 able-bodied adults living in a house, even if you have that many children, and not being able to, all of you work, and being able to pull that household together. See, that just goes to show you there's people out here who are regular, everyday, average people, except they're unable to keep a job, unable to be gainfully employed, unable to take care of kids, don't know anything about birth control, never been to a health department, never used a condom, don't know how to say no, don't know how to shop, clean, wash kids, give them a bath. None of that. I'm always shocked when I find this kind of thing, right? Because I thought most people, they would know to do these things. They would know how to do this thing. But a lot of people don't. And that's the thing. You find these houses all over America. It's 3 adults in this house. 3. And the kids look like this. Let's check it out.
Answers now. What is that stench?
This Toledo police officer could smell something awful even before she made it to the porch of this house on August 10th. The situation got worse when she saw who was living in the home.
A kitten inside that's paralyzed that got thrown down the stairs?
Police were first called to the home because a neighbor called 911 saying a kitten was potentially hurt after being thrown down the stairs. Now, the man at the door said everything was fine, but then police go inside.
What?
Police say 13 children were living inside that house. And from watching this body camera video,
Right.
you can tell that the police officer decides enough is enough and it's time to do something about this situation. So she pulls the adult male inside the home outside for a chat.
If he ain't black, god damn.
What's your last name?
Oliveri.
Spell it.
Oliveri.
First name.
Angel.
Date of birth.
March 16th, 1997.
Okay, he don't seem to be slow. He don't seem to be having a problem with him functioning. So, okay, so we expect him to have a job. Let's see.
March 16th, 97.
1997. Yes, ma'am.
You live here?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your phone number? What's your social?
He seems to be functioning. Okay, so, it was a husband, right?
Bud, get inside, please. All right.
All 5 of your children live here?
Yes, ma'am.
I need their.
Why do people be pretending like they doing stuff on their phone when people talking to them? When they conducting business, how you on your phone and you conducting business and the police are right there looking you in the eyeball? How are you on the phone? Why shouldn't they should be telling them to get off the phone? You in trouble.
names.
So my oldest is
You know me.
Last name? Date of birth?
Oh, stop, Gabriel.
Right, you gotta go inside. All right. No, keep your.
Yes, can y'all go inside?
Keep your
Thanks,
sticker.
y'all go inside.
Keep your sticker. Go inside. I don't have any. I need you to go inside, okay?
No, please.
Can you get off the phone, please?
Huh?
Can you get off the phone, please?
I'm on phone with wife.
Okay, that's fine. Can you? Okay. I don't know of what. I need information.
Mm.
Next.
My twin says
Why do they keep that? Well, they keep he's giving personal information. That's why they keep making it silent. He's giving personal information. He got at least 7, 8 kids. See, poor people do fucking or they eat. They either fucking or they eat. One of the two. So apparently they doing all of that because none of the kids look like they starving. But then again, we ain't been inside the house, so we don't know. We don't know what's going on.
Next.
my son born.
I'm not cutting out the sound. They cutting out the sound because he's giving that personal information.
My youngest son is baby.
Right. Who knows? All right, when they get done with all that information.
Okay, what's mom's name?
My wife's name is Cassandra Lambert, and we're not married, but we're engaged.
Before we get back to this episode of On the Case, which is one of the most watched shows on YouTube, I need to talk about our partner and sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. Dollars after the insurance company, $26 million for, and then another client in Pennsylvania. Even if you don't need to start a claim, you go to www, click the link below.
Do you know her date of birth?
The same as my
July
son.
1st?
Yes, 1998 is her year.
What year? 98?
98, yep, 1998.
Oh, okay.
July 1st.
Okay, what's Cassandra's phone number?
We want to see inside the house. We want to see how shitty the circumstances are. Let's see.
Sorry about that. I'm on the phone with her right now. Our number.
Phone number, giving the phone number.
She's at work at the moment.
Okay. Do you know why this is happening? Why
No.
I'm getting information? You have no idea.
No, ma'am.
Do you think these living conditions are acceptable for children?
No, I don't.
No. Okay. I understand. I'm not trying to talk down on you. I'm not trying to make you feel like less of a man.
Okay, see, this is my understanding. Well, let's watch the house.
Or a person, or to feel bad. It's one thing if adults want to live in filth, in their own filth, and not take care of themselves. You're adults. If you want to live that way, these kids didn't sign up for that.
Trust me, I understand
They
that.
do not need to. Okay,
accept
well,
this
there's
at all.
plenty. I see plenty of adults in here that can get their up off the couch and start cleaning.
Yes, ma'am.
The amount of flies in there. There's diapers all over the
I know.
floor. There's trash everywhere. There's animals. There's animals that are not being taken care for. Unacceptable. And we will not have that.
I hear you on that.
Hang tight.
I'm sorry that you guys had to see that.
See, and I can just surmise from that particular conversation that these people have not been trained how to raise children. See, raising children is a training process. You guide the children down the pathway. And the pathway, I talked about this earlier this week, the pathway to training people and this, that, and that, it's a small fence. You don't let them run around and go wherever they want to do what they want to do. You train them in a specific spot. This is your area. This is your room. You stay in your room and you do the things in your room that you want to. You don't come out into the public space and do X, Y, and Z. Nobody should have diapers and dogs and animals all over the house like that. Nobody. They haven't been trained to raise children. And a lot of y'all don't need to have had children. But unfortunately, we don't have licenses to get pregnant.
It's not. You don't need to be sorry to me. You need to be sorry for your kids.
No, I know that.
Your kids.
Here's the mugshot of Angel Oliveri. He tried to explain away the conditions in the home like it wasn't really that big of a deal. He also, as you notice there, remained on the phone while police were trying to talk to him, and that seemed to just make the tension in the air even worse. Now, what he said was just a little cleaning that was needed. But according to police, what actually was going on inside the home allegedly was human feces on the floor, no functioning shower or toilet, and animals that had urinated and defecated on the floor. And there was actually no food in the kitchen, according to police, and the ages of the children who you saw inside that home. And from what I saw watching that, it seems like they didn't really understand just how bad the conditions were inside the house that they were living in. The ages of those children ranging from 13 down to just an infant. It also turns out that Oliveri had warrants already out for his arrest.
Did you used to live on 14th Street?
East side.
The 43604, 336 14th.
I don't. What that? I used.
Everybody know when they got a warrant out for their arrest. Don't play crazy. Everybody knows when the police are after you. Yes. Everybody knows this. So my whole thing is, why is he pretending to do that? Because he knows he's going to go to jail. Because he knows the warrant is no good. He knows that.
Downtown, the PLs.
Yeah.
A while back.
On the 14th? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Turn around for me.
So that should have been the first thing they did anyway. Seeing as how those kids are living in filth. How does that happen? How does that happen? Nobody has trained the family to take care of kids.
I'm going to take this one.
May I ask why I'm getting handcuffed?
You have warrants.
Those warrants appear to be traffic related, stemming from operating a motor vehicle without a license and having expired tags, according to court records we found online. Now, he wasn't the only adult living in that home. Here's when his sister-in-law returns, mom to 8 kids in the house. This is her conversation.
Mom has 8 kids. She just sleeping, fucking. What's she doing? She better have a job.
With police.
Better have a job.
Do you live here?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so we got a call here that there was something.
And she's black.
A cat got thrown down the stairs or something and was injured. When we go inside and see what we saw, the living conditions here for this house and these kids being here, we have a big problem.
Yeah, but no, it gets cleaned up every day. Listen to me.
No, there's no way. There's no way. No way. And like I told him, he's in cuffs right now because he has.
She know. Y'all know. How do y'all live with the smell? That's the question.
Warrants. He has 4 warrants. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't have any, but you can check.
No, that's fine. We'll eventually grab your information and all. And like I told him, I'm not trying to talk down on you guys. I'm from the east side. I grew up here.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not somebody who had it made in Sylvania.
Right.
See, this only happens when you're not trained to watch kids. She got 8 kids. She got 8 kids, no man around, and apparently there ain't no man around. That house is intolerable for 8, 9, 10 people. No, 8, 9, 10, 11 people.
I get people go through.
Yes,
I understand that. I'm not trying to talk down on you guys and make you guys feel a certain type of way, make you feel like a bad mom, a bad whatever. I understand that. But at a certain point, too far is too far.
I know, and that's what I be telling you.
I understand.
I'm
I
the
understand.
oldest sister,
but
so you
but
know,
that's where we are right now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
So what do I do?
We're gonna get some stuff figured out.
So do I go clean the house or what?
Can you bring me my never mind. Just hang tight for me.
I'm not cutting her head off. That head cut off is the filming. They filmed it with her head cut off. Favorite food? Ain't no way. There's human feces on the floor. There's animal feces. See, when you got that many people, you can't afford to have no animals. That's why I never allow my children to have animals when they were small, because there's no way that I would be able to take care of 5 kids plus animals plus a husband. No way. You shouldn't even be allowed to have them unless they're every last one of them. Every last one of the kids are able to take care of that animal. You should never have animals.
So your children live here as well?
Yes, ma'am.
How many kids?
I have 8.
8 kids here?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Can I go clean?
Okay,
please.
hold on. I understand. Just give me a minute.
Hey,
Okay, on here, I want you to write your first name, your last name, your date of birth, your phone number, your social.
Now, that woman is Angel Lambert. She and Cassandra Lambert were arrested with Oliveri because of those living conditions inside the home that police say were dangerous. Police say those living conditions, in fact, put the health and safety of those kids at risk. And according to WTVG TV in Toledo, it appeared the children hadn't bathed in days. Now, the children have been removed from.
It doesn't matter whether they bathed or not. The house is so filthy that even if they took a bath every night, they'd be filthy before they went to bed. Because kids will play in mess and feces, toilet and all that. All that don't work. Toilets don't work. Sink don't work. How are they doing anything with that house?
From that home, they've been put in temporary housing, and according to the TV station, the suspects are not allowed to have contact with the kids. The 3 of them were released on their own recognizance. Joining us now is criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Josh Corman. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Very tough body camera video. Just when you think of the amount of kids, 13 inside of this house in Toledo.
13 kids. Oh, I thought it was 8 kids. 13 kids. So she got 8. Then the other people, God damn.
Just what was your reaction when you watched kind of the snippets of body cam video that we have?
Well, I think it is alarming, and this is sadly one of the things that we're used to seeing, especially people who deal with child abuse cases, prosecutors who deal with this kind of stuff all the time, and children's services workers who deal with this. I think we're used to seeing it. Rarely do, does the body cam make its way to the news, where the news kind of sees the same things that the police officers are saying. That's normally something that's saved for a trial.
How do you have 2 women in the house and neither one of them understand that the kids need a bath, that the house needs to be clean? That one person stays at home and watches all the kids, and the other 2 people need to work 2 jobs. That's how that needs to go. And then one wife or mother needs to stay at home and take care of all the kids and train the kids. But neither one of them, all 3 of them, none of them know how to train kids.
So I think in this situation, what makes this a little different is just people sitting at home watching their evening news were able to see how bad it was when the police arrived on the scene and walked through a crime scene.
Right, because it's shocking, for us who don't investigate these things regularly, and like in this case, the police officer, like she could smell something from outside the house, like before she was even on the front doorstep, which just kind of really painted the picture of how bad the conditions allegedly were inside. When it comes to prosecuting a case like this, or even just charging a case like this, and you could tell in that body camera video, the officer's kind of assessing the scene and then just decides it's time that she needs to do something about it. What is typically the bar from someone who just lives a very messy lifestyle? Maybe they have very tough upbringing, tough living conditions, financial situation. And then when does it cross the line to being a criminal case of neglect?
So I think in a situation like this, the statute or the law specifies to the officer, what should be charged. And I would imagine in all these kinds of cases, she being the police officer, would have some kind of a conversation with the prosecutor about, here's what I was called to the scene for. We showed up thinking it was something to do with a complaint about an animal or a complaint about a cat or something. And this is what we found. And so also immediately, Department of Children's Services will be contacted, and they will have to send someone to the house to also assess the situation and figure out what needs to happen as far as where the kids are going to go.
And 16 people. So 16 people, even if we gave the mother and the father and the wife, sister, a room, 5. So then you got 13 other kids. So it should have been a minimum of about 6, 7 bedrooms in that house. In order for it to work the way it needs to work, it should have been 6 or 7 bedrooms and at least 3 bathrooms. But I bet you that house wasn't like that. I bet you it wasn't.
And usually a prosecutor is involved at that initial stage of kind of directing the officer of what needs to happen next and what the prosecutor believes needs to happen. And I think in this situation, she got there, and like you said, just from the stench outside, and then seeing, 13 kids inside, no toilet, no food in the house, animals are. I think they talked about one of the dogs was infested with fleas, and the kids had, insect bites all over them. I think to her that was what would qualify under the statute as.
See, when people say women are the biggest abusers of their children, they don't mean physical abuse. They mean neglectful abuse. Yeah, they're the biggest ones who have neglect abuse. Women do. We're not going to fight that. We're not even going to push back on that. Okay, I just wanted to be clear on that. Physical abuse, it's the man who does the most physical abuse of children. It's the woman who does the most neglect of children.
There's a substantial risk to the
They're still considered abuse, though.
Health and safety of those kids, and so for that reason, no matter what Department of Children's Services is going to be contacted. But I think from calling a prosecutor said, yes, go ahead and make the arrest, and we'll file the charges on this.
In this case, you have the man who is seen for the most part on the body camera video, and he's the dad to 5 of the kids. Then his sister-in-law is the mother to 8 of the kids in the house. And then the man's wife or fiance was also living in the home. So you have 3 adults facing charges in this case. How do you go about figuring out who's the person to blame, considering there were 3 adults in this house for this situation?
Well, I haven't seen the charging document, but from what I have been able to see, what it looks like is that Angel Lambert, who is the mother of the 8 kids, she was charged with 8 counts of endangering children, and then both Cassandra and Angel, the mother and father of the other 5, were charged with 5 counts. So I assume that they each got charged with endangering their own kids, or whichever kids were their biological children, or whichever kids they were the guardians of. As best I can tell, that's how it would be. Now, I think otherwise you're correct. If they had not been the parents, then I think probably law enforcement would have also charged all 3 of them. Or if there had been a grandparent or someone else living in the home, very likely they would have been charged as well for failing to protect the safety and welfare of the kids who were inside the house.
Because that was one thing I was thinking is, if, say, he was the one who was home most of the time, and I don't know what his situation, this is just more in general in these cases, where if, maybe he was more of a clean person than the other 2.
He did say that it was unacceptable what he was saying, but he had not done anything about it because he was the only person there. If you're the only person there and you find it unacceptable, why was it acceptable while you were there? I don't understand. Because you found it acceptable, sir. You just was embarrassed.
Is it because the kids are in the home that everybody's responsible for it in the eyes of a prosecutor or a police officer when you have a situation like that and adults are living in the house?
I think certainly in the eyes of a police officer, and certainly in the eyes of an initial charge, in a criminal case, it's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. However, it's only probable cause to arrest someone. And so oftentimes, not just in child abuse cases, but in all kinds of cases, we will see multiple people be arrested for something and initially charged. And then as the investigation continues, or all the evidence comes out, or they have attorneys and the discovery is shared between the parties, then you realize, like, okay, 2 of these people, we don't have enough evidence to proceed to proof beyond a reasonable doubt, and we will dismiss that. Like in this case, like you just said, let's say, one of the moms had been out of town for 2 weeks, and the house was not like that when she left. She arrived to the house being a mess. Then maybe some facts.
No. She, like the officer told her, we know that this house has been like this for a minute. It's just it's markers in the house. You can tell from the stains on the floor, from what kind of baggage is on the floor, food is on the floor, all kinds of things. You can tell the difference between somebody cleaning up and then making cleaning up one day and then it being messy the next day. No, this house had lived being dirty. It had stayed dirty. They're not cleaning anything. They just live with the smell. Y'all live with the smell. How y'all live with the
Come out
smell?
later on and the charges get dismissed against her. Or like we see all the time in cases where there's 4 people in a car and they find some drugs or a gun in the car. If no one accepts responsibility and claims the drugs or claims the gun, then oftentimes what you see is the police will arrest all 4 people inside the car. And by the time that case ends, rarely do 4 people get convicted of that. Maybe one of them ends up getting convicted, but that doesn't mean that they all 4 didn't get arrested by the police to begin with, because they would argue, well, there was probable cause to arrest all 4 of them, even if there is not proof beyond a reasonable doubt to actually be able to convict them of the charges.
And it was just so shocking. And, you have 13 kids that are living in this house. They range from 13 years old down to an infant. House didn't seem particularly that big. And then you have 3 adults as well in this home. So
Okay, so they didn't have a big house. So apparently they didn't have like 5, 6 bedrooms. Maybe they had like 2 or 3. So where did everybody sleep? The kids just fell asleep right there on the floor. They just had the kids fall asleep right there on the floor. That's what it is. Didn't care where they slept. So the man was okay with the way the house was run. He was okay with it.
16 people are in this house. I mean, how common is it in these cases of neglect where, because I typically think you might have 1 adult or 2 adults if it's a couple, but then to have 3 people and all seemingly, from at least we saw on body camera video, didn't really have much, didn't maybe understand, at least in Angel's case, didn't really seem to understand just how bad the conditions were inside the home. How common is something like this?
Sadly, it
Because they all slow. They're all slow in some capacity or another. You have to, there has to be some so lack of mental acuity to have 8 kids and you don't have anywhere to take them, not feeding them, not washing them, not having a house for them to stay in, bringing animals into the house, and then the wife or the girlfriend, the fiance or whatever, same thing. And Goofy, you saw Goofy on the porch, he was just out of it.
it is all too common. I think, like I said, when people who investigate these cases, and especially DCS workers who are charged with this, so a lot of times these cases never make it into the criminal court system. Children's Services just gets a complaint. They're charged with investigating it and then try to put services into the home to the extent they can to try to help out the situation, whether that is, I guess, financial.
Okay, they sleeping in the front room, got the front room, don't know how to clean up their area. So if one of the front rooms, one of the dining rooms is a bedroom, okay.
Support or getting appropriate housing or getting the water bill paid so that the water can get turned back on, or putting people in temporary housing or something. I think those are the kind of things that Children's Services deals with probably on a daily basis. Most of the time, I think these cases do not rise to the level where they end up in a criminal court, as in this case. But for these officers, and from what it looked like on the body cam, it had crossed the line to the point that they can't just call DCS for some assistance. This is something that needs to be prosecuted.
Then on the flip side of this, because I know you're a criminal defense attorney, if one of these individuals came to you looking for defense, and I know that we've seen the body camera video, a lot of it's redacted inside the house, but you can just get the sense from what the police officers are saying is, in their opinion, it was not a good situation to be in. But how does someone, what's the strategy when it comes to defending someone who is facing a charge like this of neglect when, clearly there's something, images would be shown at a trial of very, very difficult conditions and a lot of children are inside the home?
Right. Well, one of the things that I think may be somewhat shocking, that if I don't practice in Ohio, but if my understanding of the statute in Ohio that they're being prosecuted in is correct, this is actually a misdemeanor offense, which the maximum penalty on that would be 180 days in jail. So essentially 6 months in jail and a fine.
But then what happens to the children if you take the children away? If you take the parents away, what happens to the children? That's the question. So wouldn't it be more harmful? I don't know. Maybe they need different parents. Maybe they need some kind of training. Maybe they need teeth training classes. Somebody to check up on them every week. Make sure Yeah, we don't know what kind of services they need.
So even though we talk about how bad the conditions are, deplorable, I think is the word that the media was using, or that the officers were using in their affidavit of complaint. at the end of the day, it's not that serious under the law as far as what the punishment could be. I think the bigger issue and the bigger punishment, if you will, is what happens in family court with the kids. You know, having kids taken away from you or having kids put temporarily in foster care. That's a serious thing, or you would hope that that's a very serious thing for those parents. And then there's all kinds of steps that usually the parents have to go through in order to get full custody of their kids back. And so if I'm representing someone in a case like this, that's one of the things that we're focusing on is how do we make this situation right and put the parents and the kids back in the best place they can be so that these situations and these conditions do not continue, because the goal is always going to be for the family law court is to reunite kids with their parents.
Yeah, but there needs to be extensive training, extensive bill management, household management, communication skills, anger management. It needs to be an array of things that's needed in this house. Okay, for them to, before they can take kids on, before you can leave the kids with them, those kids are gonna die of neglect, hunger, something. There's animals in the house. You gotta stress and reiterate. You cannot take care of 13 kids. You cannot take care of goddamn animals. It just is what it is. You got 13 kids. You cannot afford to take care of no animals. Get them damn animals up out of here. Y'all go to all these classes, X, Y, and Z. Them kids are in foster care until you figure some shit out. Once y'all figure some shit out and we think you're going to be able to take care of the kids, we're going to watch you, monitor you till the youngest one gets to be 5 years old and the young one can talk, blah, blah, blah. It's all kinds of case management services that are needed. I used to be a case manager.
In a situation like this, I think that's what is going to end up happening at some point in time. And it sounds like that may have happened already. I think one of the stories I saw said that there had already been an accusation against one of them, or one of them had been charged with an endangering at some point in time previously. So what that leads me to believe.
I wouldn't be surprised that 8 kids. I'm surprised the one with 8 kids has not been. There's no way she didn't know what to do with those kids. There's no way between her and her sister, they got three, between all three of them, they got at least 1 or 2 brain cells. Something got to be working. Something got to be going to the top. Okay? You got to know that at least 2 of y'all got to work. And 1 of y'all get food stamps. However y'all need to do it.
Believe is they had done whatever it was that DCS asked them to do at some time prior. And I would imagine at the end of the day, in this case, that's what's going to end up happening as well.
Because I also wonder just in more the strategy of what goes into a prosecutor's mind when you're figuring out what is the appropriate charge in a case. Because I think if you have children who have like flea bites and it's the situation of the house that might, that is in some ways, I could see someone saying like, that's an injury. So it's like, when does that become the difference, I guess, between neglect and then child abuse?
Right. And again, that goes back to the definition of injury and whether you can claim that that's an injury, right? I mean, I think for some people you would say, oh, if I have bug bites all over my body or there's flea infestation in the house, that should qualify. Legally, I don't know that you have the best grounds to stand on. And again, I don't pretend.
I mean, there's plenty of things that they can charge them with. Neglect is the minimum of what can be charged. Abuse, it could be any number of things. If it's so egregious, like keeping a kid in a closet, something crazy like that, 9 times out of 10, if it's not none of that, they probably gonna get the kids right back to them.
And to know all the laws.
I recommend all kinds of case management services
for what the case law says in Ohio regarding this. But
this right here is where we have the food stamp and the Section 8 and all of that. This is a case where you might need that because they all 3 of them might be half retards. So they're gonna need help all the way down the line.
That's certainly, you're right. That's what I would be arguing as a defense attorney is these things, we can agree that they're deplorable. We can agree that that's, unacceptable for kids to be living in those situations and try to rectify that. But that doesn't mean it rises to the level of, any kind of a felony child abuse type case, because there's not serious bodily injury, or the law does not consider what these kids were going through to be serious bodily injury.
No, it's just shocking always to see these kind of body camera cases. And I know for you, having worked in a prosecutor's office, that it's, I'm sure, not the easiest cases to go forward with when you think of all the kids that were inside the house. Josh Corman, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Thanks for being with us.
You too. Thanks for having me.
So that is the situation. All of those kids, 13 kids, you got 13 kids in there. they're going to need all kinds of services. They're going to need food services, housing, utilities, management courses. They're going to need all kinds of parenting courses, anger management, budget management. They're going to need everything. Because like I said, they might be half idiots, all three of them. To have that many kids, continuously have that many kids, she has 8, the other one has 5, continuously have kids and not understand that you're putting them in danger, feces all over the floor, 3 adults, not one of them said, that's not okay, no, hell no, I don't need that. You have to train children. You can't have that many kids and not train them. And the number one rule is we can't have no animals because there's too many humans. We can't afford to take care of the humans. We can't afford to take care of animals. That should be standard operating procedure. I can't take care of y'all. I can't feed y'all. We can't have no animals. But like I said, they all half in the bag of retardation. So it is what it is. There ain't no license to have kids. Ain't nobody giving out licenses to have kids. So therefore, poor people, what do? They fucking and they eat. That's all they've been doing up in that house. Fucking and eat.